Hello, Steve White's for Steve Arts 89. I'm looking at the two Dark Crystal storybooks, the actual storybook and the comic adaptation. Now, when I was a kid, this was the Dark Crystal for me because I didn't see the film. I was too young to see the film, and I didn't have a cinema in my town anyway, and the video store didn't have all the movies I wanted. So I think I might have seen it on TV. I didn't really see it till DVD. So, but it was still very much a part of my childhood thanks to this book and some random images that I saw in books and magazines and things. So this is actually done by Bruce McNally. So the art wasn't by Brian Froud. I thought it was the same artist who did the film when I was a child, but it's not now. They had it in the library. This is not that edition because that copy was kind of old and trashed, but I used to go into my library and look at it all the time and just imagine what the film would be like. So I found this edition years later. It's in pretty much perfect condition, so I was very grateful to find a copy of it. The artwork is beautiful and I love it. I don't know what else to say other than just it created the universe for me. I mean, I was able to slip into the world of the Dark Crystal and fall in love with it without even seeing the film and having that to look forward to. And then when I did eventually see it, it still was very impactful. And I think I'm just going to show you. So if you haven't seen the book, you can appreciate the artwork. If you have, I guess you're familiar with it and it might take you back. That one, I remember looking at that forever. I don't know why that's my favourite image. And they're all very accurate. The storybook covers all of the elements of the story. And like some storybooks I found in new adaptions for kids, they basically just focus on one storyline from the film and not the whole story. This covers everything in detail and beautifully. Just can't say enough about it. I think my sister actually saw this in the cinema, which was wasted on her because she doesn't even like fantasy, so that's one bitter irony in life. The fact that she got to see it and I didn't. But she was older, so I'm the youngest of 8. And it looks like the new series, which has motivated me to look at all my Dark Crystal stuff and be aware of the fact that I don't have enough merchandise and I haven't collected as much stuff as I've seen stuff and not bought it, and I don't know why, because now it's going to be either harder to find or more expensive to find if it is more available, because it's now more popular, assuming the success of the series. Yeah, I wish I'd bought more stuff. But I'm not sure how much the series is going to... I mean, it looks like it really respects the world and the designs and the characters, but we'll see if it actually lives up to the legend of the Dark Crystal, because I think the reason why Jim Henson and the Henson Company that haven't done much with the Dark Crystal is they didn't want to mess with it. They knew that it was this one-off, unique fantasy world experience, and I think they didn't want to touch it for a long time. And now we have the comic adaptation. Now this was, it was a 2 or 3 part comic adaptation that I found originally, and the printing was the American typical like dot like colour, and it was absolutely woeful. So I basically just sold that to someone when I found this, because this is beautiful. This is the Marvel Super Special, which they often did these for comic adaptions, where the American one they'd have several standard newsstand editions, and then they'd have these special editions which had them all in one volume with like a painted cover and additional artwork. Now this has images from the film, more so on the back, but some at the front. And you can see the problem with the, already, if you know anything about art and comics, you'll be able to see that this would be a nightmare to turn into dot colour, because like a lot of the UK comics, it's basically painted and watercolours, and that does not, and very dark. So the American adaptions are just a lot of dark dots, and it looked awful. But the artwork is, again, not by Brian Frow. I should have looked at who it was before I even started getting into that. It is... Oh, Brett Levens. So he did the artwork. Again, not Brian Frow. For some reason I thought he did all the art for it, but he didn't. So it's a fairly accurate adaptation. And I'm not going to go through every page, because if you've had it, you've read it, and if you don't, you should get it and read it and not have it spoiled for any small variations between the movie and the adaptation, because usually the adaptations are done from scripts during filming, and there's often little differences, and if you're lucky you'll find little deleted scenes or little moments that didn't make it to the film or are just different. Or they will be working from production art, not the actual finished film. So you get some interesting variations. And before DVD and before the internet, this is what kids had to do. They had to read comic adaptions and storybooks of their favourite films, because they had to wait 6 months to a year to get a video. So if you saw it in the cinema, if you missed it in the cinema, or if you saw it in the cinema, either way you had to wait 6 months to a year or two for it to come on TV or video. And comic book adaptions and storybooks were very popular in the 80s, 70s and 80s, and I guess into the 90s, because they kept the film alive for people. And if you're into escapism and you love a universe or a world created in a film, you can escape to it in a book, because you can stay in whatever scene or frame as long as you want. Which is why I think I always loved books and comics, and I used to sit and just stare at the Dark Crystal storybook in my library just for as long as I could get away with it before I had to go back to class, because I'd rather be there. And yes, we get to the end, and there is quite a lot of did I miss the first page of that? I did. They had a fairly large section in the back with art images from the movie. Sorry, I cannot get this to... it keeps flopping on me. So they had images with text, mostly just talking about the actual events of the film. A little bit on the production, some sketches. But as you can see, there's quite a lot. And a lot of these adaptions, if you've never seen one, or these super specials, they did them for June and a lot of stuff in the 80s. There's quite a lot of extra material in them. Star Trek the Motion Picture, the Star Wars films, I think they all have additional pictures or text or articles. And the only bad thing about this is that very rude, intrusive Marvel Comics ad. One day I'm going to get a print from the film from some random Starburst or old 80s magazine, and I'm just going to paste it over here, so just flip through and get nothing but art and pictures, so there's nothing to interrupt the the world of the Dark Crystal. So there's that and that, which I'm very glad to have. I love them very much. And there's a few things more I don't have that I just discovered. There's a novel. I don't know if it was done recently or if it was done back in the day, but I really need to start hunting the Dark Crystal, because I loved it as a kid. I kind of got to immerse myself in it a bit more as an adult when I found some more merchandise and had the DVDs and stuff and the Blu-rays. But then, being an adult, I sort of forgot about it a little bit. But now I'm really getting back into that. So hopefully you got something out of that. And if you don't have them and you love the Dark Crystal, I'd buy them. Thanks, bye.